The vastness of space stretched out like an infinite ocean of stars, silent and cold. The exploration ship Eclipse, humanity's pride, drifted quietly toward the edge of the known galaxy. Captain Mira sat in her chair, her eyes fixed on the holographic map in front of her. The target was clear, a strange signal emanating from a region no human had ever dared to explore. "Are we sure about this, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Gray, the ship's tactical officer. His voice carried a hint of hesitation. That signal could be anything. It doesn't have to be friendly. Mira didn't respond immediately. She tapped the console, zooming in on the coordinates. The signal wasn't like anything they'd encountered before. It wasn't random noise or a natural phenomenon. It felt deliberate, like a message waiting to be found. "We didn't come this far to turn back," Mira finally said. "Prepare the ship for deeper entry." The crew exchanged uneasy glances but obeyed. The Eclipse had seen its share of strange phenomena. The signal grew stronger as they approached, but so did the anomalies. As they ventured closer, strange things began to happen. The lights flickered, even though the ship's systems were fully operational. The air seemed heavier, as if unseen eyes were watching them. "Captain," called Engineer Tessa from the control room, "our instruments are acting weird. The scanners are showing nothing. It's like space itself is disappearing." Mira frowned. "Nothing, literally nothing," Tessa confirmed. "No stars, no debris, just a void." Despite the warnings, Mira ordered the ship to press on. "Just a little further," she said, her voice firm. "We're not stopping until we find the source." The crew's anxiety grew as the ship passed through a dense fog-like substance. It wasn't gas or dust, it was something else entirely. The scanners couldn't identify it. It clung to the ship, dimming the viewports and muting the hum of the engines. Then, the whispers began. At first. It was faint, barely audible. A soft murmur at the edge of hearing. But soon, the whispers grew louder, echoing in the halls. Each crew member swore they heard their name being called. "Did you hear that?" whispered Gray, gripping his station. "Yes," Mira said, though she tried to keep her composure. "Stay focused. This could be some kind of psychological effect." But deep down, even she wasn't convinced. The whispers sounded too real, too human. The source, the Eclipse, finally broke through the fog and emerged into a strange pocket of space. It was unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Instead of stars, the area was filled with floating fragments of metallic debris, glowing faintly with a bluish light. At the center of it all was a massive structure, a sphere the size of a small moon. It pulsed gently, as if alive. "There it is," Mira whispered, her voice filled with awe. "That's where the signal is coming from." The whispers stopped the moment the sphere came into view, replaced by an eerie silence. It was as if the structure itself was watching them, waiting for their next move. Tessa ran a quick scan of the sphere. "Captain, this thing. It's old, thousands, maybe millions of years, and it's not human." "No kidding," muttered Gray. Mira stared at the screen. "Is there a way inside?" "Yes," Tessa said. "There's a docking port on the surface. But Captain, we don't know what's in there." "It could be a trap. It could also be the greatest discovery in human history," Mira replied. The decision was made. The crew suited up, and a small team boarded the shuttle to approach the sphere. As they neared it, the bluish glow intensified, casting strange shadows inside the shuttle. Mira felt her pulse quicken. Inside the sphere, the air was cold and still. The walls were made of a smooth, dark material that absorbed light. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls, their meaning incomprehensible. "Stick together," Mira ordered as they moved deeper into the structure. The team entered a massive chamber at the center of the sphere. In the middle of the room was a pedestal, and above it floated a small orb of light. The signal they'd been tracking was coming from it. "What is that?" whispered Gray. Before Mira could answer, the orb pulsed, and a voice echoed in the chamber. It was deep and resonant, but unmistakably human. "You have come far," the voice said. "But are you ready to go further?" The team froze. Mira stepped forward cautiously. Who or what are you? I am a gatekeeper, the voice replied. I was left here to test those who seek the path beyond. Only the worthy may continue. What kind of test? Mira asked, her heart pounding. The room lit up, revealing holographic images of humanity's history, its triumphs, and its failures. The voice spoke again. Show me that your kind is more than destruction. Prove that you are capable of building something greater. The orb dimmed and the walls began to shift, forming a complex puzzle. The team had to work together to solve it, combining their knowledge and skills. Every failure caused the walls to close in, but they didn't give up. Finally, with seconds to spare, the puzzle was solved. The orb brightened, and the voice spoke once more. You have passed, it said. The path is open. The team watched in awe as a portal appeared in the center of the chamber, glowing with a brilliant light. Mira smiled. Just a little further, she whispered, stepping toward the unknown. The Starlight Runner was humanity's fastest exploration ship, built to go where no one else dared. It glided silently through the vastness of space, heading toward the edge of the galaxy, a place that no human had ever seen. Commander Ray stood on the bridge, staring at the view screen as the endless black stretched before them. Status report, he said, his voice calm but commanding. We're closing in on the boundary, Commander, replied Ensign Vega, her hands gliding over the console. The instruments are picking up a large object ahead, but we can't identify it yet. Ray nodded. He'd read about the Edge, a place where strange anomalies made even the most advanced sensors unreliable. But something was waiting for them out there, something ancient, and possibly dangerous. The crew of the Starlight Runner had been trained for situations like this, but the tension in the air was palpable. Everyone felt it, the quiet hum of the ship, the vast emptiness outside, and the growing unease that something was watching them. The wall in the dark as they approached the coordinates, the object became visible. It wasn't a planet or a star. It was a wall, a massive black structure stretching endlessly in both directions. Its surface was smooth and featureless, absorbing all light like a void. The crew gathered around the main screen, their faces a mixture of awe and confusion. What is that? Vega whispered. It looks like a barrier, said Lieutenant Carter, the ship's science officer. But it's not natural. This was built by something or someone. Ray's jaw tightened. Scan it. I want to know what we're dealing with. The scans came back inconclusive. The wall didn't emit any energy, but it wasn't inert either. It felt alive. Commander, Carter said, his voice uneasy, this thing is older than anything we've ever encountered. It doesn't match any known alien technology. Ray considered his options. They could turn back and report their findings, but he knew that wasn't why they were out here. Humanity had always been about pushing limits, about going further. Prepare the probe, he said. The crew launched a small drone toward the wall. As it got closer, the drone's feed showed strange, glowing symbols beginning to appear on the surface. The symbols shifted and pulsed like they were alive. Commander, the drone's losing signal, Vega reported. Before Ray could respond, the feed cut out entirely. The probe was gone. The decision, what now? Carter asked, his voice tense. Ray stood in silence for a moment, weighing the risks. Turning back felt like defeat. But going forward, we go in, Ray said finally. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. No one argued, but the fear in their eyes was clear. The Starlight Runner inched closer to the wall. As they approached, the glowing symbols reappeared, this time forming a pattern that spread across the entire surface. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the ship's speakers. It was deep and resonant, neither male nor female. Who dares approach the gate? The crew froze. The voice wasn't coming from their comms. It was coming from the wall itself. This is Commander Ray of the Starlight Runner, he said, keeping his voice steady. We're an exploration vessel from Earth. We mean no harm. The voice replied, only the worthy may pass. Prove yourselves. Before anyone could respond, the ship's systems went dark. The lights flickered, and the air seemed to thicken. Then, the wall opened, revealing a swirling vortex of light. To test the ship was pulled into the vortex, and the crew braced themselves. When the shaking stopped, they found themselves in a strange space. It wasn't black like the void. They were surrounded by endless streams of light, as if they were floating inside a living nebula. "Where are we?" Vega asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Ray admitted. "But stay sharp. This isn't over." The voice returned, louder this time. "To go further, you must prove your unity. Show us the strength of your kind." The streams of light began to converge, forming a massive, shifting puzzle in front of the ship. Pieces of glowing energy floated in the air, constantly changing shape and color. "It's a test," Carter said. "We need to solve this, whatever it is." The crew worked together, analyzing the puzzle and trying to fit the pieces. It wasn't easy. Every time they got close to a solution, the puzzle changed again. Frustration grew, but Ray kept them focused. "Think," he said. "It's not about brute force. They're testing our ability to adapt. Work as a team." Slowly, the crew began to understand the pattern. Each piece of the puzzle represented a part of human knowledge: science, art, compassion, and resilience. It wasn't just about logic, it was about humanity's spirit. The path beyond. After hours of effort, the final piece fell into place. The puzzle dissolved into light, and the voice spoke again. "You have proven yourselves. Your kind has the courage to seek the unknown, the wisdom to learn, and the strength to endure. The path is open." Ahead of the ship, a new portal appeared. It shimmered with colors that didn't exist in any human spectrum, inviting them forward. Ray smiled, feeling a mixture of relief and excitement. "Set a course," he said. As the Starlight Runner moved toward the portal, Vega turned to him. "Do you think we're ready for whatever's out there?" Ray glanced at the swirling light. "We won't know unless we take the next step." The ship crossed the threshold, disappearing into the unknown. The stars sparkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet sky. Deep in uncharted space, the Horizon Explorer, a state-of-the-art human vessel, glided silently. Captain Elara Hayes leaned forward in her seat on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the faint, pulsing light on the ship's main display. "Are we sure about this?" asked Lieutenant Damon Cole, his voice tinged with uncertainty. He glanced at the signal on the screen. "That beacon looks ancient. It might be a trap." Elara didn't look away from the display. The signal had appeared out of nowhere during their routine survey of the sector. It pulsed in a rhythmic pattern, almost like it was calling for help. The problem was, the source wasn't listed on any star chart. "Trap or not, it's worth investigating," she said firmly. "We didn't come all the way out here to ignore something like this. Take us closer." The crew exchanged wary glances, but followed her orders. The Horizon Explorer adjusted course, heading toward the mysterious beacon. The discovery as the ship approached, the source of the signal became visible. It was a floating structure, small, metallic, and covered in strange etchings that glowed faintly. The design didn't match any known alien species. "It's beautiful," whispered Ensign Lila, the youngest member of the crew. "Beautiful, but definitely not human," Damon muttered. The beacon rotated slowly, its pulsing light casting eerie shadows across the ship's observation windows. Scanners buzzed, trying to analyze the object, but the results were inconclusive. "It's old," said Dr. Kieran Voss, the ship's science officer. "Older than anything we've ever found. The material isn't from this galaxy." Elara stood up from her chair. "Can we interact with it?" "There's a terminal-like structure on one side," Kieran replied, "but I can't promise it's safe." Elara made her decision. "Suit up. We're going out there." The beacon's message, the small team exited the ship in their EVA suits, floating toward the beacon. Elara led the way, her heart pounding as she neared the structure. Up close, the glowing symbols on the beacon seemed to shift and move, as if alive. "This thing is reacting to us," Damon said, his voice crackling over the comms. "It's almost like it knows we're here," Lila added, her tone both nervous and excited. Elara reached the terminal. It was a smooth surface with an indentation shaped like a human hand. She hesitated. "Captain, are you sure about this?" Kieran's voice came through the comms. "We have no idea what that thing will do." We didn't come here to turn back, Elora said. She placed her gloved hand into the indentation. The beacon came to life. The glow intensified, and the symbols rearranged themselves into patterns that no one could decipher. Then, a burst of light engulfed the team. When the light faded, the team was no longer floating near the beacon. Instead, they found themselves standing on solid ground inside a massive chamber filled with towering structures made of light. The air felt heavy, almost alive with energy. "Where are we?" Damon asked, looking around in disbelief. "It's some kind of virtual space," Kieran said, his voice filled with awe. "The beacon transported us here." At the center of the chamber stood a towering monolith, its surface covered in the same glowing symbols. As they approached, the monolith began to hum, and a deep, resonant voice echoed in the air. "Welcome, travelers. You have found the archive." "The archive?" Alara repeated. "What is this place?" "It is a repository of knowledge," the voice said, "left behind by a civilization that has long since vanished. You were the first to find it." The monolith began to display images of galaxies, planets, and civilizations rising and falling. The voice continued, "This archive holds the history of countless worlds. But such knowledge is dangerous. Only those who are worthy may access it." "What kind of test are we talking about?" Damon asked warily. "You must demonstrate the qualities that ensure this knowledge will not be misused. Wisdom, unity, and courage," the voice replied. The chamber shifted. The team found themselves separated, each facing a unique challenge. Alara stood in a room filled with shifting holograms. Each hologram showed a moment of human history, from its greatest triumphs to its darkest failures. She realized the test was about making a choice, deciding which parts of humanity's history should define its future. Damon faced a puzzle that required him to rely on the knowledge of his crewmates, even though they weren't physically with him. He had to trust their voices and memories to guide him. Leela, the youngest, found herself in total darkness, where whispers taunted her fears. Her test was to find the strength within herself to keep moving forward, no matter how scared she felt. The key to the archive owned by one, they overcame their challenges and reunited in front of the monolith. The voice spoke again. "You have proven yourselves. Humanity's curiosity is matched by its determination and resilience. You are worthy of the knowledge within the archive." The monolith opened, revealing a glowing sphere of light. As the team approached, the light expanded, flooding their minds with images and information maps of the galaxy, forgotten technologies, and answers to questions humanity had long asked. But the knowledge came with a warning. The archive contains wonders, but it also holds dangers. Use it wisely, or risk the same fate as those who came before you. Alara nodded, feeling the weight of the responsibility. "We will honor this gift," she promised. As they returned to the Horizon Explorer, the beacon's light faded, its purpose fulfilled. But Alara knew this was just the beginning. Humanity now held the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe, if they were ready to face the challenges ahead. The Odyssey, a sleek, cutting-edge exploration vessel, drifted through the void of deep space. Its destination was a point marked on no map, a place spoken of only in whispered legends. The Edge. Commander Aiden Cross stood at the observation deck, staring into the vast, starless expanse ahead. Behind him, the hum of the ship's engines was the only sound, a low reminder of how far they had ventured from home. "Captain," said First Officer Lyra Hale, stepping up beside him. "We're nearing the coordinates. The readings are strange. It's like space itself is breaking apart ahead of us." Aiden nodded, his expression unreadable. "Take us in slow. Full sensor sweep. I want to know what we're walking into." Lyra hesitated. "Sir, if the reports about this place are true, they're just stories," Lyra, Aiden interrupted, though even he didn't fully believe his own words. The Edge was a myth, a place where reality unraveled and the laws of physics no longer applied. Yet here they were, closer than anyone had ever dared to go. The anomaly: as the ship approached the designated coordinates, the crew began to notice the changes. The stars outside seemed to shimmer and warp, their light bending in impossible ways. "Commander, look at this," said Dr. Elias Rowe, the ship's lead scientist. He projected an image onto the main screen, a swirling mass of energy pulsating at the edge of their sensor range. "What is that?" Aiden asked, leaning forward. "It's not a black hole," Elias said. "And it's not a nebula either. It's something new. It's alive in a way. Or at least reactive." Lyra frowned. "Reactive how?" "Watch." On the screen, the energy mass flickered as the Odyssey drew closer, its patterns changing as if it were aware of their presence. "This isn't natural," Lyra muttered. "We should fall back." But Aiden shook his head. "We didn't come all this way to turn back. Whatever this is, it's the discovery of a lifetime." "Plot a course closer." The ship edged closer to the anomaly, its sensors straining to make sense of the readings. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Commander, the anomaly is expanding," shouted Ensign Carter. On the screen, the swirling energy surged outward, forming a massive rift in space. Through it, they could see nothing. A void so complete it was almost terrifying. "What's on the other side?" Aiden asked, his voice steady despite the tension. "No idea," Elias said. "Our instruments can't penetrate it. It's like looking into the absence of everything." The crew stared at the screen in silence. Then, without warning, the rift began to pull the Odyssey toward it. "Engines full reverse," Lyra shouted. "It's no use," Carter replied. "We're caught in its gravity." The ship trembled as the pull intensified. Aiden gripped the edge of his console, his mind racing. They had two choices: fight the pull and risk tearing the ship apart, or let it take them and face the unknown. "Shut down the engines," he ordered. Lyra turned to him in shock. "What? We can't fight it. Let's see where it takes us." Reluctantly, Lyra gave the order. The engines went silent, and the Odyssey was swallowed by the rift. The other side, when the shaking stopped, the crew found themselves in a place unlike anything they had ever seen. The rift had deposited them into a vast expanse of shifting colors and shapes. Space here didn't behave as it should. Planets floated in fragments. Stars pulsed like living hearts, and streams of light twisted in impossible spirals. This shouldn't exist," Elias said, his voice trembling. "It's beautiful," Lyra whispered, though her awe was tinged with fear. Suddenly, the ship systems came online on their own. The main screen lit up, displaying symbols that no one recognized. "What's happening?" Aiden demanded. "The ship is being scanned," Elias said. The symbols vanished, replaced by a figure made of pure light. It hovered in the air, its form shifting like liquid. When it spoke, its voice was both mechanical and organic, echoing in their minds. "You have crossed into the Nexus," it said. "The threshold of existence. Few have dared to come this far." "What is this place?" Aiden asked, stepping forward. "This is the edge of everything," the figure replied. "A realm where the rules of your universe no longer apply. Your kind was not meant to be here." The figure raised a hand, and the ship began to vibrate. The crew staggered as a wave of energy passed through them. "Leave now," the figure said, its tone cold. "Return to your realm or face annihilation." Aiden stood tall. "Wait. We didn't come here to harm anything. We're explorers. We only want to understand." The figure paused, its glowing form flickering. "Understanding comes with a price. Will you risk everything to see beyond the edge?" The crew looked to Aiden. The weight of the decision pressed down on him. They could leave and return to safety, or they could stay and uncover secrets that might change humanity forever, but at great cost. "We'll stay," Aiden said finally. "We'll take the risk." The figure nodded. "Very well. Then prepare yourselves." The light around them intensified, engulfing the ship. For a brief moment, Aiden felt as if he could see everything, every star, every galaxy, every possibility. Then, just as suddenly, the vision ended. The beginning of something greater. When the light faded, the Odyssey was back in normal space, the rift gone. But the crew wasn't the same. Each of them carried a piece of what they had seen, a glimpse of something greater, something infinite. As they set a course back to Earth, Aiden knew their journey wasn't over. The edge had shown them the vastness of what lay beyond. And now humanity had a new frontier to chase. The Stellar Voyager, a colossal starship carrying over 1,000 souls, drifted silently in the depths of uncharted space. Its mission had once been clear: to find a new home for humanity. But that was centuries ago. Now, the mission was a distant memory, lost in the ever-stretching void. Captain Mara Ellis stood on the bridge, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the main display. The screen showed a vast expanse of stars, each one mocking her with its unreachable distance. They had been traveling for generations, their destination still out of reach. "How long has it been since we last found anything?" she asked, her voice heavy with fatigue. 17 years, replied First Officer Daniel Voss. He didn't look up from his console. The last star system was barren, just like the rest. Mara sighed and leaned back in her chair. The endless journey was wearing on everyone. Supplies were running low, and the crew's morale was sinking. Rumors of mutiny had begun to spread, though no one dared speak of it openly. The signal, just as despair threatened to take hold, a soft chime echoed through the bridge. The communications officer, Ensign Lila Hart, turned sharply toward her console. "Captain," Lila said, her voice trembling, "we're picking up a signal." Mara straightened. "A signal? From where?" "It's coming from there." Lila pointed to a cluster of faint stars on the display, roughly 2.3 light-years away. "It's faint, but it's definitely artificial." Excitement rippled through the bridge crew. An artificial signal meant intelligent life, or perhaps remnants of a long-dead civilization. Either way, it was the first sign of hope they had encountered in decades. "Set a course," Mara ordered. "Full speed. I want to know what's out there." The strange world, the Stellar Voyager, reached the source of the signal weeks later. What they found was a planet unlike any they had seen before. Its surface shimmered with a strange metallic glow, and its atmosphere pulsed with an unnatural energy. Scanners struggled to make sense of the data. "The surface is covered in some kind of liquid metal," Daniel reported. "It's not water, but it seems stable. And the signal is coming from beneath it." Mara stared at the display. "A city?" "Possibly," Daniel replied. "But the readings suggest it's ancient. Thousands, maybe millions of years old." "Prepare a landing party," Mara said. "I'm going down there myself." The descent, the shuttle sliced through the planet's strange atmosphere, its hull trembling from the unfamiliar energy fields. Mara, Daniel, and a small team of scientists and soldiers prepared for whatever lay ahead. When they touched down, the liquid metal rippled beneath the shuttle, like water disturbed by a stone. The air outside shimmered, making everything appear slightly distorted. "This place feels alive," whispered one of the scientists. Dr. Serena Holt. As the team ventured out, they found themselves in the ruins of an ancient city. Towering spires made of the same metallic substance loomed overhead, their surfaces covered in intricate symbols that glowed faintly. "This must be the source of the signal," Serena said, examining the symbols. "It's a message, but it's in a language we can't decode." The Guardianas, they explored deeper into the city. The air grew heavier, charged with an almost sentient energy. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them shifted. A massive figure emerged from the metallic surface, its form humanoid but glowing with an inner light. The team froze. The figure spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than through the air. "Travelers, you have come far." "Too far." Mara stepped forward, her hand resting on the weapon at her side. "Who are you? What is this place?" "I am the Guardian," the figure replied. "This is the Nexus, the center of all journeys. Those who reach this place are at the end of their path." "The end?" Mara repeated, confused. "We're looking for a home. Our journey can't end here." The Guardian's light dimmed slightly, as if in sorrow. "Your kind has searched for centuries, but there is no end to the void. The Nexus is a place of truth, not salvation. What you seek cannot be found." The choice the Guardian raised a hand, and the city around them began to shift. Images appeared in the air, scenes of humanity's past, present, and possible futures. This is your legacy, the Guardian said. A species driven by hope and curiosity, yet burdened by its own flaws. The Nexus can offer you two paths: continue your endless journey, or remain here and become part of something greater. What does that mean? Mara asked. To remain is to merge with the Nexus, the Guardian explained. Your consciousness will join the countless others who came before you, creating a collective mind that transcends the physical. You will no longer be individuals, but you will find peace. The team exchanged uneasy glances. And if we choose to leave? Mara pressed. Then you return to the void, the Guardian said. Your journey will continue, with no guarantee of an end. The decision Mara faced her crew, the weight of the decision heavy on her shoulders. To stay meant surrendering their humanity, but to leave meant embracing the unknown with no promise of success. After a long silence, she made her choice. We'll continue the journey. We're human, and humans don't give up. The Guardian's light flared briefly, then dimmed. So be it. Your will is strong, but the void is endless. May you find what you seek. The team returned to the shuttle, and the stellar Voyager departed the strange planet. As they left, the signal faded, and the planet vanished from their scanners, as if it had never existed. Mara stood on the bridge, staring into the vast unknown. Their journey was far from over, but for the first time in years, she felt a spark of hope. Because even at the edge of everything, humanity would keep moving forward.